Okay, everybody. So we're going to try this again. I have been on the phone with people who are trying to help me get this um, all taken care of. And so I think we may have it done now. I'm not real sure. I can't see you guys. I can't see like chats or anything right now. But we will be setting it up so that we can do the live streams directly um, to the website and also on to YouTube as well. So some of the stuff that we do to the website may be accessible through private on YouTube, or some of it may be public on YouTube, depending on what that particular stream was intended for. So we have different streams that we'll do at different times that are on different subjects. I've got various subjects selected through actually the end of the year. They're very interesting things that we're working on. And I'm going to actually be, I don't know if you guys can hear me, but I'm going to be going into, okay, so I'm on the Telegram and I'm actually speaking into the Telegram. I didn't put the Telegram key in this because I would normally be able to stream straight to Telegram from this, but and maybe I should just add that key in, but we'll have to go ahead and do that on a different time. I'll have to make that available on a different time today, because we're just working out the logistics and we're working out the things that are available, to us. I could also, I guess I could do this too. I never even thought of this. I could make this stream available so I can actually communicate with you guys while I'm on the Telegram itself, and like well, broadcast from the Telegram. I can set that up. I would prefer not to be in Telegram. I really am wanting to get um, over that, completed with that. So I want to move on to the website and create things that we can create. So the things that we're going to talk about, I want to talk to people that are just hearing this, that are new, or you're just coming into things right now. You're finding that, there's different things that people have out there, different programs that people are offering. People are offering, solutions or trying to offer solutions. You guys will find that much of what you are learning that's out there is created to keep you into a system. It is not in a situation where you guys can you can't get out from the situation that they have it set, the way it's set up, the way that we agree to things in this system. And there's a lot of people that are upset out there about this. I didn't create this, I'm not a part of it. Well, you didn't. You're right. I agree with you. I'm not arguing with whether you created anything or not, or whether you're a part of it or not, or whether you want to participate in it or not. No one's arguing with any of those facts. But what I do tell all of you is that you did create some of this and you contributed to some of the debt, and your contribution is, well, that's what your obligation is, because we don't realize what we're signing doesn't mean that we're not liable. You can't go back after you sign and say, well, you didn't give full disclosure. You can, on the premise that, well, there really wasn't full disclosure to certain parties. But as far as the debt goes, you're the debtor and you agreed to be that, and your signature says that. So we can't choose something after we've already chosen one thing. When you choose one thing, it excludes all others. So once we make that choice, we make a cognizant choice to do something, then we come into a position where we're always on that choice. That choice doesn't go away, and you can't reverse it. You have to fulfill the obligations that are involved with that choice. And so one of the things that I get a lot of questions about too is, can I give you valuable consideration in the fact that I'm going to take this and use it to help other people? Well, I'm all about you helping with other people. I am. And it has nothing to do with where your heart is. I really believe your heart's in the right place. But your things in people's lives change. And when your things change in your life, well, that changes where I fit on the priority list. And I'm on the priority list right now because some people need help, but it changes when people's needs change. And so what I'm saying is that valuable consideration, what you do is you provide that up front, and it's just an exchange for service. I say, hey, I've got a side washing business where I wash the sides of like buildings, and you have a dirty building. So, and you actually have a building that in that dirty building, you have things that I need. So what do you say that, you build maybe wiring harnesses? I don't know, just make something up. I want a wiring harness and you need your side of your wall cleaned. So I say, hey, I'll give you that wiring or that I'll clean the side of your building, which is about the same price, that equivalent in the market to what it would cost to do whatever it is exchange for value. And so that is what valuable consideration is. It means you have a chance to think about what it is, that you've thought about what the deal is, what someone is offering, and that you've considered it and you consider it valuable or not. If you don't, it's just a rejection of a contract, right? You just rejected it. Nope, sorry, I don't want to do that. But if it's valuable consideration, you say, okay, yeah, I'll agree to that. And you sign, right? So they're saying the signature is valuable consideration. We're saying kiss my butt. Okay. And your request that it is valuable consideration is really aspiring, but the fact of the matter is that you already put it on the paper, and there's no removing ink from paper. You can take tattoos out of bodies, but you can't remove. I might have lost you guys for just a second, but until we create a scenario that we're not using other people's things, we are liable parties. We are always liable. Whatever you guys sign for, nobody can go and unsign for you. You have to go and take care of your responsibilities. The job of the people that are the public trustees that you hear about are those people are the folks that handle the debt, and they handle it either really nicely or not nicely, depending on whether you know who you are or not. And knowing who you are isn't contingent upon I have paperwork and I'm this. It's whether you stand with your creator or not. You guys are all standing with, well, it's a false idol. Okay. You're standing with a false idol. You're walking around with a false idol and you're showing it and handing off a false idol to people. It's a corporate name badge and you're providing that to other folks. And like, that's okay. I mean, it's okay if you want to remain in that. And if you want to be a part of a membership of a group of people, that's fine. Nobody's judging anyone because there are people that really do need help and they need to be a member of certain things. But I have found in my personal experience that I do much better when I have my own independent choices, when I have my own independent thinking, and when I'm able to, provide for my family the way that my family needs to be provided instead of going by like a very rough template that's created for everybody. It's just like a cookie cutter. Okay, you get this. Okay, you get this. Okay, you get this. I don't see me as that. I don't see my family as that. And I see as much more opportunity that we have to create something versus, going and settling for something that is lesser than, well, godly. Let's just say godly. Your creator, from this point where you start out in this world, we go down into another point where we get into a corporate entity, and everything below that is where we've been doing business. But you have a right all the way up here at the top. You have that right to exist here. And every choice that we make that is subordinate to this right here, this threshold, every choice below that is a diminished right. So it is a benefit or a privilege. Everything below right here is a benefit and privilege. Okay. This line, let's just pretend this line right here. Okay. This above here, right in this area, this is going to be, I don't know how you do this. Okay. This right here, this is where your rights are. Okay. Let's just call this area. This down here below this and down is going to be benefits and privileges. So when you sign up right here, then you get everything down here. And that's why you feel you have no rights, because you don't. You gave them up here. You gave them up here. You signed on this line right here. Okay. And you said, I will go down here and do stuff. And that's where you ended up. You ended up going down there and doing stuff. And that's where you are right now. So we're trying to create, we create other things that allow us to go and not be what we call the surety for a stranger. The surety for a stranger, we're consistently volunteering to be something that we're not, because we don't know who we are. And I'm not talking in riddles. I'm not talking ambiguous. I'm talking about how we create something and we don't even know how the structure exists. We think we have a name and it's our name. That name is not your name. It belongs to a company. And that's why it's taxed. There is a tax that comes with the use of somebody else's property. Anytime you go and rent a car, it's not free. You don't just rent it and then come back and say, oh, no, that rental car was there for me. You didn't see that? No, there's a fee behind it. And it's the same thing, because you don't come from a place where inheritances come from. And that's not anything but a lack of knowledge. My people will perish for lack of knowledge. That's all that is. So once we understand that this is just a matter of expressing who you originally were, who you are, but it's been convoluted through a lot of smoke and mirrors. Okay. So over those smoke and mirrors, over the years, we have been acclimated to certain customs and practices. And those customs and practices are beneficial, but they are beneficial to a corporate entity. They are not beneficial to everybody else out there, and they're not beneficial to us privately. Okay. It's like taking all of your bank account and saying, okay, look, you can be a member over here. You just got to give us your bank account privileges, and then we're going to split it up among all the members. So they'll take all your stuff and they'll split it all among the members. And then everybody that's a member gets a piece of that. And then you become a member. Now you get a piece of everybody else's that comes after. But it's not really a good deal, because at some point, well, the bottom line is somebody else is making the rules. Okay. So when the rules are made, you have to follow their set of rules. And when you have to follow someone else's set of rules, then, well, clearly you don't have the same set of rules that you had in the beginning, right? You come out, God gives you a certain set of rules and says, don't harm anybody. Don't take anybody's life, liberty, or property. And then you say, okay, I won't do it. Well, even before you have a chance to do that, you're signed up to be a corporate agent. You're signed up to be a member of the corporation through your own parents' lack of knowledge. Okay. It has nothing to do, like, they're not bad parents. They're not like bogus and deficient or anything like that. They're parents that came in, they had an experience, they had a different perception of how reality was. And believe me when I say this, only a very, very small fraction of a percentage get this, understand what we're talking about today. And it's intended that way. It's not intended to be for everybody to just pick up and say, hey, you know what? I'm going to go do this. It's not like building a puzzle. It's like taking apart a big, big, intricate puzzle that's been here for centuries before you even got here, and trying to figure out how and why, the reason behind making the puzzle was. That's why it's so complicated for us to understand these things, because it's not just a simple thing that we just missed. It is a number of things that people before us, generations before us, missed, that was passed on. It was an inheritance of a status that was passed on because people didn't know any better. And I'll just share with you guys. So my grandfather was a coal miner. He died from black lung working in a coal mine in Dos Cabezas, Arizona. Okay. So in that, he was working under the ground, breathing all of these toxic chemicals and well, dust and all kinds of other things. And they didn't know any better. And they really didn't care at the time because they bond all of their workers. See, everybody has insurance, and that's what this system that we're on works on. As long as you guys are consenting to use other people's stuff, there's only insurance for you, because you can only like promise to pay something back. You can't pay anything here. Remember, I don't know if you guys are familiar, but the coin in 1933, there was a repeal of gold through an executive order that ordered all of the United States citizens to surrender their gold to the United States. And it was an order that was not intended for private people, but people thought that private people were United States citizens, because USA used to stand for United States of America in the acronym of all capital letters. It now stands for United States Army. USA is United States Army. So when they put USA, it's United States Army. And this can be edificed. My father is a retired military officer, and when he signs, he signs as retired Major USA. It's not United States of America, it's United States Army. United States Army. So that's what they're presenting, that when they say USA, you're a member of the armed forces, you're a member of the military, because you put USA. Like, you are a member of the military if you put AZ as Arizona, or MN as Minnesota, or CO as Colorado, or NJ as New Jersey. It's the acronym abbreviation that puts you into a military zone, just like it is the zip code abbreviation that throws you into a military zone. Both of those will acclimate you to being acquiescing and agreeing to be into a jurisdiction that is other than a private person. And when we agree to those things, then we become a part of something that we are not. And we don't know what the terms and conditions are. And because of that, again, they're treating us under a military jurisdiction, which is not under a private jurisdiction. It's under a set of rules that are code, because you're in a trust, and they're not even going to tell you what the real problem is. This was something that I discovered because I couldn't figure out. There was no rule book. They would keep telling me it's a state statute book, the state statutes. Okay, what are the state statutes? There's someone's private trust. That's what it is. Somebody's private trust, but you're not getting a copy of the trust. You're not getting a copy of it. You guys can look at the will of the legislature. What is a will? It's a wish, right? It's a wish in an estate, right? Somebody who's died or dying, is dying or going to die. It's their wishes. So when you're creating a paradigm for people to have, where, wishes are expressed. If they aren't expressed, then they're presumed very frequently. A good presumption is, if you see a man and a woman together, then presume they are together. Don't walk up to the man and start picking up on him like he's not with somebody, or the woman, either one. That was for you women. So the point is that we have to respect and honor things that are around us. And when we have these contracts that we create, we don't know sometimes even what the creation is or what the terms and conditions are, because we're not privy to banking terms. We are just experts in something that we really don't know anything about. That's what the law says. It says you're an expert in something and you don't know anything about it, but you know more than some people and less than a lot of others that know a lot more. And I'm talking about bar attorneys. These bar attorneys take an oath to the United States. Okay. And it's not bad. This is just their job. This is a part of a job. It's not a bad thing. I'm not demeaning anybody. I'm not talking about anything bad about bar attorneys. I am telling you that attorneys are a tool that is used by the puppet masters. In a nice way, they are agents of the company who are fulfilling a bankruptcy obligation, and they're collecting debts from people who have agreed to take on a portion of this company's, well, accounting. It's just an accounting. Debt is accounting. There is no money, folks. It's accounting. Debt is accounting for, it's a number system, right? So it's just like, have you ever played Monopoly? Okay, you go and pick up Monopoly. Well, you get to jump inside of something where for a short period of time, you have a lifespan of maybe 6 hours, and you go with other people who also go and pretend to jump around this board with dice, and they, by chance, operate in commerce, and you use money and you bankrupt. And when you're done, whatever you win or whatever, it's over and you can go back to real life. And that's kind of the way the public life works too. So when you guys are done creating all of this fake money, when you're done with all of these contracts that you've gotten yourself into and obligated to, and the company just wants you to pay them, that's all. Like, no one's mad at anybody. Nobody, you guys just didn't know who you were. It's just like a machine. See, everybody thinks that people are out there making decisions personal against other people. It's not personal, folks. It's business. This is all just business. And you may think that you didn't want to get involved, or you didn't get involved in the business and you didn't choose to. You know why I say that? Because I thought that too. I thought, I didn't choose this. I didn't pick any of this. I didn't pick to be in this life. I didn't pick to be in this world. But then we realized that, yeah, we did. We wouldn't be here if we didn't. Take accountability for your actions. Take responsibility for what you've created. You may not want to be here. You know what? You can blame your parents all you want. Guess what? You're still here. It doesn't change anything. You can complain and moan and groan and all we want to do. We can do all we want. And none of that stuff ever gets us any fruit. So only focus things, and that's one of the things we teach at that I try to really put into people, is that you need to focus on change that is going to benefit you. Change that benefits you is things that show fruit in like a short period of time, or a longer extended period of time. Going and learning something new is a reward, because you're rewarded forever. You can't ever lose that reward. When you go and, like, I don't know, go buy go buy a brick of cocaine. Okay. How productive is that going to be? Like, you're going to be really productive for like a very short time, and then you're going to be broke and depressed. That's what that is. Okay. So our energy can go in different places, and we have a choice to make that decision on where we want that energy to go. And there's certain aspects of life that you'll find that I've found that are going to be more fruitful. And I feel like I have been, I have had a lead weight tied around my ankle with the way that the trust has been set up in the past. Okay. So this, what they call trust, is, I'm not feeling a lot of trust for them. Okay. So you have to establish that. How do I feel trust? How do I feel trust? I feel trust when I write it down and I know what it says. That's how I feel trust. I feel trust because I know what to expect when anything goes, like if something happens, I know what to expect because I know what it says, because I can go and open it up. And if I forget, maybe I have like a brain, like, you just not thinking. Well, then you can go and you can create a new paradigm, a new thing, right? So we just create, like, that's what we do, folks. We are creators. Okay. We've sat back and let somebody else create things for us. We stood back, and I was talking to somebody today. I'm going to share this with everybody because the ladies need to hear this. You ladies who have been, like, listening to people, or maybe you've been victims of things, and we've all been victims of things. I'm going to say that first, but I want to say ladies, because you guys are really going to resonate with this point that I make. I would never want to go up I would put any woman, any mother up against the FBI any day of the week. Okay. There is no wrath like a mother who, who, whose kids or something has happened to their kids. Okay. So that being said, I want you guys to imagine, you ladies who have kids, I want you to imagine, and even you dads can imagine too, but the women are really going to resonate with this because of, well, just listen. So imagine you sat back one day and you listened to somebody demean you and degrade you, or you listened to something that you didn't know any better at the time. You thought, well, that's just the way some people are, or maybe these people are just messed up, or they just talk to people. And then maybe after that, you got really mad and you're like, I can't even believe he had the audacity or she had the audacity to talk like me like that. Unbelievable. That'll never happen to me in my life. And then you have it happen to your kids. And then you stand up like, oh, hell no, that ain't happening. Not in this time. And you do stuff about it, right? We go and take care of it. We like, you cut it off right then and there. Well, back when it was you didn't do that because you didn't know any better, because you didn't have any, like, okay, what do I compare this to between right and wrong? If you don't have anything to compare it to, you just sit back and you say, okay, well, that doesn't feel right. I'm not really sure what's happening here, but, and some people will speak up more before others. That's just a natural trait that people have. It just depends on who's been screwed over first and how many people have been screwed over. Because I'll tell you, I've sat back and I've been a person who didn't know whether to speak up or anything and say anything. And then I've also been the guy now who always speaks up, because you only get one voice and you only get one chance sometimes to make that voice heard. And sometimes it's stuff is none of my business, but if it's going to help people, I'll absolutely speak up and I'll say something about it. But the only way that we can establish trust is if we know what the hell it says. If we know what we're talking about. If you guys all have spouses too, right? Like some of you do, some of you don't, some of you have had, well, this will help you, because communication is a big key. If you don't communicate, then there's no trust, right? Like, where were you till 3 o'clock in the morning and why didn't you tell me? Oh, I didn't tell you I had to work late. Well, why do you smell like a bar? I mean, that creates trust issues. If you communicate those things and say, hey, you know what? I've got a presentation. I'm going with some guys to the strip club. I mean, not like that's going to be a real great excuse, but at least it's honest and there's no ambiguity as to dishonesty. So when it comes to communication, you're conveying trust issues. We're conveying things in trust. All of this stuff exists and persists in trust because we have a relationship with other people that we know how they work. When you have a place in a public place, it's been generally created for the liking of everybody around it. You throw 6 million people into a pot and you say, okay, everybody, here's your menu. Not everybody's going to like the same thing. They're not going to eat the same thing. They're going to have allergies. They're going to have people that are like, oh, I can't do this. It just as an example. Okay. We're not talking about everybody getting in a public trust and having dinner or eating the trust. Okay. We're talking about people getting into a trust and being in a trust and not knowing why they don't have certain things. Why don't I have a jury trial of my own peers? Why am I going before a bunch of US citizens? Why does the judge not have an oath of office? Why does their rule book say I have rights? And then when I ask for them, they don't give them to me. All these are valid questions, but they're all questions of whether you know who you are, whether you have been receiving information that is regurgitated from what somebody else wants you to be playing as a part in a role in the play, or whether you are an individual on your own individual basis, whether you are doing something individually and private, or whether you are just lumped in with everybody else who gets like the one little bean that's split in the middle. Have you guys ever seen the maybe I ought to do a video and add the video into this. I'll just cut these words out. But there's a Disney where they have one last bean that they're going to split, and they split it with a knife. And so like you guys are just doing the same thing. It's just we're taking stuff that was originally supposed to be intended. It was intended for another purpose. Okay. What you guys don't know is the intent and the purpose and what's behind it. And you got to stop looking at money as something that is holier than thou. This is like somebody created a private company. All right. Some dude created a private company that had this special Laffy Taffy, and everybody liked the Laffy Taffy. So they went and bought the Laffy Taffy. And when you buy the Laffy Taffy, it's cool. You can have Laffy Taffy, and you can laugh with all the other Laffy Taffy laughers, but there's also a price that comes with that. And maybe they didn't tell you that all the Laffy Taffer laughers, maybe all of those people now have, like, they owe somebody for eating because they became members. Like, chewing taffy has its obligations. Another way to say it, membership has its privileges. What do you hear? That's the difference between whether you've been trained in commerce or whether you know equity. Because what you hear is not always what the reality of it is, or what somebody portrays. It's not always what it is. And whether you know to assert that or not is whether you have any rights or not. If you don't stand up to assert those rights, you lose them. This is under what's called waiver and consent, folks. If you don't assert a right, if you don't know what your right is that they never taught you, if you don't know what your right is that they never taught you, then you don't get it. Have you guys ever gone to a restaurant? I'm going to say this. I used this as an example the other day. Go to a restaurant. I want you to go to like a place like Buffalo Wild Wings or like Applebee's or something like that, and go to the bartender or the waitress and say, do you guys have any like specials that are not on the menu? Do you have any stuff, any like cool stuff that you serve that you don't list on the menu? And they're going to tell you. They're going to tell you things. They're going to be like, oh, yeah, we have this and this. Like, this is not on the menu. It's not on the menu because it's only privy to people who are aware, who are knowledgeable, who have information other than what the general public has out there. And as such, we come to a point where, well, if you assert the knowledge, then you get the benefit. When I tell you guys equity jurisprudence, when you're learning, for those of you that are just learning about equity jurisprudence, when you're just learning about the subject, you have to realize that it's just the truth. And people can go in commerce, in piracy. That's what this is, being lost at sea. It's piracy. When you go and you create piracy and you get lost at sea, anything goes. There's a whole set of rules out there that are totally different. That says that if you make a promise and break it, they can terminate you. That's what it says. There are rules. Like, that can terminate your agency relationship. We have become involved with people on a contractual level where we don't even know what the contract is. And the only way that you guys can fix what has happened is if you learn what happened and why. I'm not telling you to go, and you don't have to go and, like, this is not about being a secured party or being a creditor or any of that, because you guys already have that. You don't need any of that stuff to assert who you are right now. You just got to learn who you are. And nothing out there that gives you any information is going to just tell you who you are, because they want to tell you who they want you to be, because they need you to play that role, because you are providing the consent. You're giving them the permission to do what they're doing. And as long as you don't know how to change that, then you're a wonderful customer. And they want you to keep coming back for more business. And they want you to be, well, in the not know. Okay. They want you to know their character. They don't want you to know thyself. Because when you have thyself, guess what? If you only know one single character, then you only play that one character. What if you get two characters? Have you guys ever played a role-playing game like Dungeons and Dragons, or maybe even like a video game, just some video game, excuse me. But if you've ever played a video game before, you're acting in a role, you're acting in a position. And then you get other characters that join you, and maybe you can switch between controlling them too, or maybe they're just another character. It's like getting a character that has like bullets that can shoot 50 different ways instead of just straight ahead, right? That's all it is. It's an advantage. And you have the advantage, but you have to know the advantage exists. And if you know this knowledge that exists, it always has. It always has, but there's always people around every corner going, hey, come over here and try this. Come over here and try this. And they want a piece of what you got. So they can take a piece of what you got. And a lot of times, I'm going to be honest with you, they're not giving you anything that's useful. None of it is useful. I watched today where somebody went on to YouTube and posted a video about, like they were saying, oh, I just found this. I think this is Patrick Devine. And this is a really good document. Here, we'll get into it. They didn't even know what it was. You guys don't make documents if you don't know what they are. Some of this stuff is really about knowing. It's not even the document that does anything. It's knowing who you are, because you don't need the document. When you learn what we teach you, you just use it. You just speak it. You become it. No one can walk over you and tell you that you're this or you're that. And you're going to see that a lot of the FBI like mamas out there that are like, oh, hell no, you're not doing that, are going to really come alive when you guys realize who you are. Because this is your inner child, not your baby that you had. This is the child that had the baby that you need to take care of. That is the inner child you need to be taking care of, not the one that is your offspring. Because until you take care of your situation, you can't help your kids. Like, you're a ward. I've got moms and dads who are out there trying to fight for their kids, and they haven't even fixed their own situation. It's under guardian ward, folks. If you want more information, you can go look up Corpus Juris Secundum, book 39. It's guardian ward relationship. Go look it up. It says so many telling things in Corpus Juris Secundum, and it discusses it. I'm not going to go over documents in this presentation today. I will get more well-versed on this as we go into this, and I do more as I start playing with this. But right now, today, this is kind of just a test run, and I wanted to, get the video out there for you guys to at least have become familiar with some things. There will be some days, I think, that I will be putting this onto the Telegram platform, and this will be aired on the Telegram platform so that there will be public issuances and private ones. So I'll be doing for members, I'll be doing private things that we will talk about more in depth and detailed. We'll be talking about particular cases. We'll be talking about situations, circumstances. None of this here that we're doing is intended to be legal advice. And I'm only giving you guys my own life experience based upon what I have encountered, what I've studied, what I've researched, and what I have in my really, really, really extensive library. Much of the stuff that I even deal with is not even before or after the 1900s, because, well, first of all, that all of the laws still exist from the same time previously. But second of all, you have to know what they are. And third of all, you have to know how to assert them. So there's a lot to what I teach, but it's really much more basic principles than what you've ever been taught before. And I tell people this, that one of the reasons why we don't have any rights is because we don't have any records that say we have any right to any rights. We have, some people are like, well, I got an authenticated birth certificate. That's cool. That's awesome. You know what? I can go down and get a driver's license authenticated too. a birth certificate, and it's just the same thing. It's an account. Like, it's just saying, it's going down to like, let's just say you go down to a business, let's say Best Buy. Let's say you go to Best Buy and you say, hey, Best Buy, yeah, I bought this speaker from you guys, or you guys gave me this speaker, and I really want you to give me a letter that says that this is your authenticate speaker. Like, you guys make these speakers and there's nobody else that makes them. Can you do that for me? So that I can show people that, like, I'm using the real thing and I didn't just make this up. That's all that is. Okay. So you folks don't get all wrapped up on the birth certificate being authenticated. You need it authentic because it's a record that, well, you have to show that it was legitimate. It's legit. You're just showing, because if you don't, again, waiver and consent. If you don't assert that it's legit, then you waive your right and you consent that it's illegitimate or potentially illegitimate. Just like when you give somebody notice, if you guys get in contracts with people, let's say you contract with student loans, okay? Say you contract with student loans. When you contract with somebody with student loans, you are agreeing to, like, create money and give over the rights to controlling that. That's what that is. And when you realize that you have other rights, if you just set up other things that are much easier than what you have set up right now, but you have just become complacent with a very complicated, messed up system. It works for some people, but most people, it is not conducive or productive. And the fact that you guys all were born, or were your nativity was on the land. It wasn't, you weren't born lost at sea, and your estates were never abandoned. But that's the appearance right now. So this group of people that we have together at LWP, that we've created and put together, is simply so that people could have a place to comprehend the confusion that was created by the people's lack of being informed and being knowledgeable on subjects that they felt compelled and necessary to use, but it really wasn't at all. It was another choice that was not evident because it wasn't made clear. So we didn't know that we had the choice, so we couldn't choose it. Okay. You guys have all of those rights. See, what people don't understand is equity is whatever you make it. If somebody says that you stole something from them, they saw you steal something from them, but they're not willing to put it in writing, don't you think that's a little shady? You're not willing to put your word on it, but you're willing to, like, defame my name? That's not okay. That's not equitable either. That's janky. That's like statute. You guys didn't lose that. And I'm hoping the video just stays good. So, but anyway, we fix the status, we fix and correct things because we have the ability to do that. And we are in a position because we are the authority. Okay. Now, we're not the authority that created the debt system. We didn't create monopoly. Okay. But we did create a player that we're using in the game. Okay. That's what this is. We're using the game player that came with the game. And to be private, you got to get out of the public game. So you got to remove yourself from monopoly and go into your private self and be private instead of going into this public realm where things are they're not favorable to you. They never will be. Again, when you go and let's just use another example. I'm going to use an example like, say you go to a job fair. Okay. Those are all corporate entities. You don't go and talk to Best Buy and Price Club or Costco, and you don't go talk to Sears, and you don't go talk to Bank of America. You don't go talk to like Chase Bank. You don't go talk to any of those. Are not people. They're not men and women. You guys have, there's men and women that are behind all of these companies. It took a man first to walk up to a window and say, I want to create a company. That man is responsible. For those of you that are in foreclosures, get a hold of that man or that woman. Who'd you give your money to? Did you intend for it to be used the way that it's being used? Did you intend it to finance a foreclosure? Because if you didn't, then waiver and consent. You've just waived something and you've consented to something else by not knowing what your right was to assert. And if you don't know what this right is, it's not just one. There's a whole bunch of these rights along the way, folks, that you guys waive and consent, waive and consent, waive and consent, waive and consent. And there's no instructions behind anything. You guys have no, like, anything that does not come with any sort of trust or is not in trust falls into a public charitable status. And a public charitable status is intended to create roads and fix roads and bridges and to help people who are less fortunate, homeless people, etc. Many of those things are not being used for those purposes because the people that are issuing the credit don't even know they're issuing credit, and they don't give any instructions. So you guys issuing the credit are just doing it according to the way that these people want you to do it because you don't know who you are. And like, I teach the classes, 1 month of classes is going to teach you enough to save you like more than you've ever like spent into this system. All of this stuff is recoverable. It's accounting, folks. I'm not trying to take away from anybody's business, especially the creators of the business, because they really are behind everything good and bad. I just want to tell you like it is, and it's a choice. We have an opportunity to make that choice and to choose to be in as a member of, I don't know, to make it sound not appealing. I want to say all you gang stalkers. So all you gang stalkers want to join the gang stalking gang and go stalk other people. You can do that if you want, but I would rather not. It's just not who I am, and it's not who I was created to be. And I feel much better in like linen and wool than I do in polyester and other things. See, that's, again, those are things that are created by man. Because like, didn't God create cotton, or at least the plant, right? So we go pick cotton and we put it on. What happens when we put metallic clothes on? Then we start getting static electricity, right? You're carrying around, you're not grounded. You start feeling weird, like your cells getting all perverted and stuff because you're not grounded. You're an electrical being and you're not grounded. So you walk around shocking people and stuff. You don't even know about it because we put something artificial on. Well, you also put an artificial trust on because you had a trust with God, and God gave you a name and you never used it. Instead, you grabbed a false idol and started using that. And people are so stuck on I don't know why people are not, why they are reluctant to change that, but you guys have to make changes. There's instructions that come with all of this. We have to make the proper changes in order to make things happen. In these future podcasts, I'm going to be doing, and I'm telling you this because I'm getting closer to an hour here. I'll be doing other things that are going to be other topics and other subjects. I'm working on the subjects and the topics right now. Many of them are going to be trust related, but they're also going to go into, and I will discuss different facets of like esoteric and spiritual stuff. I'll be discussing like facets of history. I will be discussing equity jurisprudence. We will be talking about just like every single thing you could think of that comes with philosophy and esoteric knowledge and symbolism and all the stuff that's got us here, because everything started out symbolism before. We were going, when we were, when we were not able to talk before, communication and a language came out. And so people have progressed a long way. And so that's kind of where we where we keep things right now. And so we want to create things, but we want you guys to learn to create things the way that your creator intended them for you. So it's not a matter of, like, you guys already know in your spirit who you are, but you don't know how to articulate that. I show you guys how to put that in a proper form so that you're not sitting out there like under the presumption that you belong to somebody, that you're property of somebody else, and that you have no authority over what you're doing. I want you guys to be able to thrive and make choices that you have. There are a lot of people that do not want you to have choices out there, that do not want you to have good things and have nice things. But I'm telling you that everything is abundance. It is in abundance. These people have just created another system that runs along the creator system that was originally here, because they can't create anything on their own. They just got to create another side system and then find people to support it. And as long as they have members to support it, i.e. voters, which are participating. So it doesn't matter who you vote for. They just need people to sign up and be like membership, because again, membership has its privileges. Remember, membership has its privileges. Voting is a privilege. It's something that you've been granted by becoming a member to them. And now they give you an illusion. They offer you a free illusion that you can actually have the power to control what is happening in your life. And well, the fact of that is that everybody wants to be in control of things even more than they are, right? If we could, we'd be in control of everything. Everybody would be a damn control freak. But there's some people, and myself included in these people, that no, I can't control anything. And you're on a ride. You just have to enjoy the ride. Like, you can enjoy it or you can hate it. It's a choice. But your enjoyment is based upon the choices that you have. And those that you see that are like wealthy people, you see, they're not unhappy a lot of times because they have choices. They have choices that you don't have, right? Or other people don't have. I'm not saying you, but I'm saying that when you have a choice to go and get in a Lexus or a Maserati, it's a little bit different than getting on a bicycle. Wouldn't you agree? Your thought of that, it's like, oh, I don't want to go to the store because I have to bike, right? Or it's storming in a rainstorm or something like that. You don't want to go do those things because, well, your own reasons. But the fact is that we have choices that will increase and make much better our opportunities and the fruit from the tree that we planted. It allows us to thrive from a position where we have choices and opportunities that we didn't have. We didn't even know we had before. And people come into certain circumstances, they address and assert who they learn who they are based upon the knowledge that they accumulate, and you get yourself out of trouble that way, because you make other people recognize that you have choices too. And when other people know that you have choices, they can't deny that you have the choice. They can only keep moving forward on the only choice that you think you have. And that's that they win and you're wrong and they're right. If you have another choice that releases you from liability, then the whole game changes. And if you have other means by how to take care of these through a means that, well, it's not deceptive, it's not going to get you in more trouble, it's not going to get you in contempt of court as a agent who you've already signed up to be. I can't change that. You guys can say, I'm not an agent, I'm not an agent, I'm not an agent all you want, but your signature's on the paper and I can't pull the ink out of it. And then someone else took that and created accounting with it. So you can't undo the accounting either. All that stuff is tied to endorsements, and learning who we are is the key to those endorsements. When we learn exactly who we are, that endorsements are nothing but an agreement to contract under Article 1, Section 10, Clause 1. And we have that unfettered ability to like contract the hell out of everything. We can go walk around signing for stuff, making applications every time. But if you understand that an application is for somebody who is an enemy of the state, who doesn't know who they are, that it's a form of credit that is created for enemies of the state under their classification, not mine. I don't think any of you guys are enemies of anything, but you've just become classified the wrong way because you didn't know how to assert it. Once you learn how to assert these positions, then we merely make those assertions keep the record, stand on our record, and then we bring that all into equity. People often wonder, like, what is that like? Well, your record is your record. You guys are like the spiritual gods, right? I'm just going to say that. I'm not talking about worshiping anything. I'm saying you are the spiritual gods and goddesses, and you just do whatever you need to do, and your record is what it is. But as long as you agree to other people's stuff, then it's a contract in their trust. So when you make contracts in their trust, then you follow their rules. When you make contracts in your trust, then they follow your rules. But you got to know what these are and how to use them. And it's not a matter, like, you don't have to use, like, have a whole 1,500 page trust. And it's not the matter of like how long it is. It's a matter of knowing what you are and what your position in that and how you fit in as the position who's been classified as responsible at this point. You may not be responsible to, like, in my opinion, in your opinion, and maybe they're saying, they've said you're not responsible, but you have a whole record that says that you are, and there's taxation and accounting and like other enforcement departments, IRS, Treasury, that all say the accounting exists because nobody has heard from you. Nobody's heard anything. And you don't just walk in and say anything. You guys have to know, have the knowledge. You have to have the knowledge. And it's not like, not that I don't want to hold, if I could give it to you in a half hour, I'd put it in a half hour and I'd be done with this. But this is something where you have to consistently stay with it because you're living in a world that is always trying to mold you back into what I'm trying to unmold. And I'm not even trying to unmold you guys. I'm just trying to show you, look, here's the other side. You want to recognize that because you got a lot more choices over there. And if you choose that, cool. If you don't, then that's cool too. I'm not here trying to convert anybody over to anything. I'm just here to make people aware of things that are going on that I didn't know about, that, well, it would have made my life a lot easier had I known about it. If I would have known about these things before, I wouldn't have spent time locked up in a cage. Okay. That's just the bottom line, with a bunch of people that treated me like crap. You know, you can't take that back. And that's another thing I want to emphasize is that people talk about, again, I'm going to end on the valuable consideration. People talk about valuable consideration existing, and, well, a promise in the future is not a valuable consideration because I don't know what the future is going to hold. What happens if I promise to pay something now and in the future the dollar is 1/1,000,000th of what it was today? Then what? Then I don't really own anything, right? Owe anything. But that's not what the way they want it to be. They want it to be that you made a deal on this date and this is the value and this is what you owe us. You see, that's not a good deal. And it's not a good deal because you can't predict the future, but they're willing to bet on whether they're going to get it out of you in the future or not. And it's a pretty good bet because when you die, they go get right out of the accounting on your certificates. That's why they probate your estate, to get all of the money that you owe the public out of that estate. You guys have rights. You have a lot of rights, and you have rights on your families to go and take control of, estates of other people that have passed on. They have rights to leave certain things to you. So you just got to learn what those are. You got to learn your language, your lingo, how to word these trusts and wills. If you're going to do a will, and then when you word them properly, then you don't worry. You just know that it's going to happen the way it is. But you got to also be aware and be educated, because if you receive a will or you receive something in trust, you got to keep it there. You don't want the trust going away. And if you do the wrong things, which is what you guys have done with the name right now, you've got on the record, when you do that, then you create problems under a different set of terms and conditions than your own. And that's where you run into problems. So valuable consideration, again, is not a future promise. It is something that right now, like, I have this mouse and I will give this mouse to you for your cat, right? And that is like, if someone says, oh my gosh, I need that mouse and I don't really like this cat, that may be a good deal to them. Most people would say, hell no, get the hell away from my cat. That's my cat. I love my cat. But some people may not. to each his own. Nobody's telling you guys what to do. Article 1, Section 10 gives you the choice to contract good or bad. It doesn't say whether it's a good or bad contract. It says you sign on the line, you become responsible. You sign on the line, you can't bitch about and moan about it not happening the way that you wanted it to happen because, well, you had a chance to change that before you signed it. You weren't under threat, duress, and coercion. Nobody forced you to do anything. And you could have created a record before it. So you've still been going along with the same record without any notice. So you have to correct that. Anyway, you guys, I appreciate you so much. We're coming up on an hour right now. I don't know what I'm going to do, but this video will go. I don't know where it'll go. We're going to figure out where it'll go and how it works, but we'll get this up for you guys. And you guys, I want you to have an amazing day. Send you much love, energy, and peace, and we'll talk to you guys very soon. Tomorrow, I'll have more stuff planned. We just did this like literally right before the show today, and that's why we were a little bit late. But I'll have more stuff and more plans come tomorrow. So you guys have an amazing day, and I send you much love. I yield.